It starts with a statement that should make every Formula One fan pause, because when Max Verstappen talks about frustration, the entire grid listens. This is a driver at the absolute peak of his powers, dominating races, rewriting records, and yet hinting at something deeper. Not just dissatisfaction, but a disconnect with the very machines that made him a champion. So the real question is, why would the most dominant driver in modern Formula One even think about walking away? Because this isn't just about results, it's about feeling. And right now, something in Formula One doesn't feel right to Verstappen. Over the past few seasons, Formula One has undergone a massive technical revolution. Ground effect aerodynamics returned, cars became heavier, more complex, and arguably more artificial in the way they behave. On paper, these changes were designed to improve racing, closer battles, less dirty air, more overtaking. But behind the scenes, drivers have been quietly dealing with a very different reality. And Verstappen has finally said it out loud. He's not enjoying these cars the way he used to. Now that's a bold claim, especially coming from someone driving for Red Bull Racing, a team that has absolutely mastered this generation of regulations. Their car, built under the technical leadership that evolved after the departure of Adrian Newey's direct day-to-day involvement, is still the benchmark in aerodynamics and efficiency. But even with that dominance, Verstappen's comments reveal something deeper about modern Formula One engineering. Let's break it down. Today's cars rely heavily on ground effect aerodynamics, which means most of the downforce is generated underneath the car rather than from the wings. This creates incredible cornering speeds, but also introduces a very narrow operating window. The car has to run at a precise ride height with extremely stiff suspension setups to maintain aerodynamic stability. And that's where the problem begins. Because when a car is this sensitive, the driver loses a certain level of control. The feedback becomes less natural. Instead of feeling the limit through the steering wheel and throttle, drivers are reacting to a car that can suddenly snap if it falls out of its optimal aero window. Imagine driving on a knife's edge every single corner. That's modern Formula One. And Verstappen, known for his aggressive, instinctive driving style, thrives on feeling connected to the car. He wants predictability. He wants a machine that responds to his inputs, not one that demands perfection just to stay stable. So when he says he's frustrated, it's not about speed, it's about connection. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Because despite these frustrations, Verstappen has made it clear he's not retiring anytime soon. That speculation, he shut it down quickly. But he didn't dismiss the idea entirely either. Instead, he gave a more nuanced answer. He talked about enjoying life, about racing beyond Formula One, about exploring other series like endurance racing. And that opens up a completely different conversation. Because for a driver like Verstappen, Formula One is no longer the only goal. He's already achieved what most drivers can only dream of: multiple championships, historic dominance, a legacy that's already secure. So what's left? Passion. And if that passion starts fading, even slightly, it changes everything. Let's talk about another key factor that often gets overlooked: weight. Modern F1 cars are heavier than ever before, pushing close to 800 kilograms. That's significantly more than cars from a decade ago. And weight affects everything: braking distances, tyre wear, cornering agility. For drivers, it means less nimble cars, less responsiveness, and more reliance on systems rather than pure driving skill. This is something Verstappen has subtly criticised. He's from a generation that still values raw driving feel. And while he's adapted better than anyone else, that doesn't mean he enjoys it. Think about it like this: just because you're the best at something doesn't mean you love it, and that's the paradox we're seeing right now. Let's go even deeper into the technical side. Tyre behaviour in modern Formula One is incredibly complex. With Pirelli supplying tyres designed to degrade strategically, drivers have to constantly manage temperatures, wear, and grip levels. Combine that with heavy cars and sensitive aerodynamics, and you get a situation where pushing flat out is rarely the fastest strategy. Instead, it's about managing pace. controlling gaps, driving within limits. And for someone like Verstappen, who naturally pushes the edge, this kind of racing can feel restrictive. So here's a question for you. Do you think modern Formula One is becoming too controlled, too engineered, and less about pure racing? Because that's exactly what this debate is starting to look like. Now let's bring strategy into the equation. Red Bull's dominance hasn't just come from aerodynamics, it's also about energy deployment. The hybrid power units with their complex ERS systems require precise management of electrical energy throughout the lap. Deployment strategies can change corner by corner, lap by lap. And Verstappen is exceptional at this. But again, it adds another layer of complexity that distances the driver from the raw experience of racing. It's no longer just about braking late or hitting the apex perfectly, it's about managing systems, optimizing algorithms, executing a pre-calculated race plan. And while that's incredibly impressive from an engineering standpoint, it raises another question. Is Formula One becoming more about machines than drivers? Because if the best driver in the world is questioning his enjoyment, that's something the sport can't ignore. Now let's shift perspective for a moment. From the outside, it might seem strange. Verstappen is winning. Red Bull is dominating. Everything looks perfect. But inside the cockpit, it's a different story. Drivers operate on feel, instinct, and emotion. And when those elements are compromised, even success can feel empty. This isn't the first time we've seen this in Formula One. Legends like Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton have also spoken about the changing nature of the sport. The increasing complexity, the shift away from raw driving, the growing influence of technology. But Verstappen's case is different, because he's saying this while dominating, and that makes it far more significant. So what does this mean for the future? Well, Formula One is heading into another regulation change in 2026. Lighter cars, simplified aerodynamics, and a stronger focus on sustainable power units are all part of the plan. The FIA is aware of these concerns, and there's a clear effort to bring back some of that lost connection between driver and machine. But will it be enough? That's the big unknown. Because once a driver starts questioning their enjoyment, it's not easy to reverse that feeling. And here's the final twist in this story. Verstappen isn't desperate to stay in Formula One forever. He's already hinted at racing in other categories. Endurance racing, maybe even Le Mans. Different challenges, different machines, cars that offer a completely different driving experience. And that should make every F1 fan think. Because if the sport loses a driver like Verstappen, not because he's not competitive, but because he's not enjoying it, that sends a powerful message. So as we look ahead, the question isn't just about Verstappen's future, it's about Formula One itself. Is the sport evolving in the right direction, or is it slowly losing the very essence that made drivers fall in love with it in the first place? Because at the end of the day, Formula One isn't just about speed, it's about passion. And when that passion starts to fade, even for the best driver in the world, that's when the real story begins. So what do you think? Is Verstappen right to feel this way, or is this just the natural evolution of Formula One? And if the cars don't change, could we actually see him walk away earlier than expected? If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more behind-the-scenes analysis of Formula One's biggest stories, make sure you subscribe, because the next chapter of this story might be even bigger.